Hello, can you all see me? Good morning, all of you. Yes, I guess most of you can see me. Good, nice. Sunday morning. Good morning, all of you. Rishabh, Abhinandan, Prateek, Ashima, Swati, Akshima, Arun. Good morning, all of you, beta. Good morning. So let's get started now. It's time here. Yes, Umesh, Soumya, Ajay. All of you, good morning. Okay. So I presume you have all received the question paper. I should have sent it maybe couple of hours earlier, but I couldn't send. That was because I was traveling for some time. Okay, but otherwise, did you all receive the question paper? The first 5 questions I had posted already, like a day ago, and then the rest. So did you try answering those questions? I did get some messages that the questions are tough, not able to manage or whatever. You did try to answer some? Okay, fine. Not much, Vikas. Okay, I mean, see, if I have shared approximately about 25, 30 questions, you see only first 5, Abhinandan, I had sent on your mail. I had sent the question paper on your mail, Abhinandan. आपने mail देखा नहीं इसका मतलब. Yes, and I had also posted on your wall also. Okay. So all of you be alert on the Telegram wall because I'm the only one who's posting. So the moment you have an alert means there's some announcement either for you or for the CCMP students. Yes, you found some questions difficult. That's nice. If the difficult questions means you are learning. The easy questions you're not learning. Half of them, others in mind. Yes. So Sonu, what you must do is, in fact, for all of you, we'll have such 4 or 5 such question sets to practice from. And I know in the pressure of the examination, you're also juggling your GS paper, you cannot answer all the questions. But try answering 4, 5, 6 of them. Okay, next time I hope I can send it a bit earlier. And for the other questions, at least have a format. Try to have a kind of an approximate framework on how you want to go about. And if possible, you can look up your textbook also to do some bit of reading. Okay. Now, Rishabh, don't say most of the words. I believe of the entire question paper, 3 words that you may have found difficult. Otherwise, all the words like you may not have heard about secularization. Okay, yes, some of the words that's better. Or ergodity, yes, that was a new word. Okay, some of you probably have not studied channel morphology, so you might have found sinusity index. Okay, a difficult word maybe. Okay, so don't say every word. You only end up discouraging yourself. Fine, let's start now. So those who had to join have joined us. Okay, let's start off now. Should we? Yes, yes. But I have also posted some of the videos on channel morphology. Did you get to see all those videos? And there are a couple of videos of CCMP program plus some general videos also we have posted. Yes. So even if you had seen those videos at least 2 or 3 times, at least 2 times, you would have got some idea what I'm talking about. Okay, the questions are not from beyond that, more or less. Okay, fine. Let's start off. Now let me share my screen. Yeah, all of you be patient now. Okay, we start off now. Yes. So we're starting off. So I'm sharing my screen with all of you. Yeah. So now, very important part of answer writing. Say one, of course, is the. Now this is we are doing answer writing. Okay. In answer writing, you'll have to be careful about 3 things. You'll have to be careful about the word limit, and the word limit is related to the number of pages you write, and therefore it is related to the time aspects. Okay, and the second aspect of your answer is content. do you know the content or not? And the third aspect of your answer writing is the framework or the structure. Okay. Now, if you look at the word limit or time, generally I'm suggesting either it's a 2-page answer, or it can be a 3.5 page, either 1.5, 2-page answer, or it is 3.5 page. And if you go for 3.5 page, if it's 30 mark, you may also go to 4 pages, but I will suggest you avoid this. The 10 marker and the 50 marker are okay here. Whereas the 20 marker, the 25 marker, okay, should be in 3.5 pages. So I'm looking at each page approximately around 80 to 90 words. You will, each page, words per page. So these type of questions, try not to write more than 300 words. And these type of questions, try writing in not more than 150 or 200 words. Okay, so you can perhaps write this down somewhere. Okay, please write this down somewhere. So I repeat, 10-15 marks questions, try to be within 1.5 to 2 pages. Don't cross 2 pages. And the longer ones, 20-25 marks questions, can be 3.5 page. Sometimes 4 pages if it is 30 mark question, but do not cross this. Okay, irrespective of how many words they ask, your main guiding principle has to be your marks. It's possible that a 10 mark question is written as write in about 250 words. Don't do that. Okay, they might mention a 20 mark question, write in about 100 words. That's too less. So your principle of the size of the answer should be based on what are the marks. Okay, so this is more or less. So I'm looking at either a 2-page answer or a 3-page answer is what my focus is. Okay, now content part I will deal with. Okay, content part I'll help you with. Plus you have read something. Okay, now let's directly jump to the framework structure. Okay, now I'm suggesting if your framework is, okay, if it is a geographical thought question. Okay, there are 2 type of questions. One is the thought type of questions. Many of them are very abstract. Even some of the questions of models and theories. Okay, and the other questions. Okay, now thought type of questions increasingly is being asked as a statement. Now, there are, in your answer, a thought answer can have approximately 4 parts. Okay, 4 parts of your question. 4 parts. The first part, introduction. Okay. Second part, why is it said so? Why is it said so? The third part is what does the statement mean? And the fourth part is the conclusion. Mean with examples. Conclusion which can be analytical, a conclusion where you can disagree if you want to, if the scope exists to disagree. The conclusion can also be related to a kind of summary. The conclusion can also be about the recent views. Okay. Now, these things, now this format will try to fit into, okay, your answer must have diagrams. In geography thought, the diagram could mean pictorial tools, it could mean flow chart, it could mean schematics. I'll show some of them to you. It should have diagram. It should have a reference to some scholars. It must have reference to technical words. Examples. This part, reference to scholars, technical words and examples, this make the answer look like geography answer. They'll make the answer look like they are answer from geographical thought. Whereas these, they help your presentation and they also help you conserve words. I repeat, broadly, you will have 4 parts. Geographical thought question, I'm not looking at questions beyond 15 or 20 mark maximum. Once in a while, they might ask a longer one, but most of these questions are 20 mark questions, okay, or 15 mark questions. Most questions are 15 mark questions. So in 2 pages, this is the best organization you can have. For a lot of CCNP students, I have not discussed thought answers with you. That's one reason why this format will look new to you. This format is more or less what I have discussed otherwise also. I can just go through once again. I said, introduce the idea. Then introduce the idea, you may quickly define the concept, okay, and start off. That is the best one. And why is it said so? Okay. Now, this has to be slightly historical. Keep it slightly historical. Say the question on that human geography since the world wars has been predominantly human geography, or geography post wars has been largely the works of logical positivism, humanism, or historical materialism. So to say this, we'll have to have a bit of history quickly as in Okay, how was the development for maybe last 50, 20, 100 years? And the bulk of the answer is actually here. What is the statement? Mean with examples. Now, this should occupy maybe 60% of your answer. Okay, 60% of the answer. And this thing flows into a conclusion. So I'll demonstrate this for some of you. Okay, and what I'm saying is, this is what the answer must look like when organized. And make sure you're having two things in the answer. One is, okay, focus a bit on the presentation aspects, where you're using diagrams, you're using some kind of flow charts, some pictorial tools, some schematics, so that the answer looks nice. And you can also conserve words. The more flow charts you use, the more schematics you use, you'll be able to conserve the words. Like otherwise, you can't handle in maybe 2 pages. And the other part, I'm saying, use geographical words, use geographical technical expressions, give examples of scholars who have said what, give examples, okay, in terms of illustration. So that tells me that you know the concept. It looks like a geography thought. That looks like a geographical thought type of answer. Okay. So now keeping this format in mind. Now see, by the way, please focus here. This organization, typically I'm mentioning for geographical thought answers. Okay, I'm not talking about all the answers. This is typically for geographical thought answers. Now, let me quickly look up some of the questions. Like for example, look at the first question. It says, geography is simultaneously both regional as well as systematic. Explain. Okay, I'm discussing the first question. Geography is simultaneously both regional as well as systematic. So the first set of questions I'm discussing, okay, question number 1, it says geography is both regional and systematic. Now, the same principle, we start off with quickly, we have an introduction, we have a brief history, okay, then we have the main body, and then we come towards the conclusion. And I said the body should include, should be almost 60% of the answer. Okay. Now, introduction in this could be quickly, like defining that regional geography, the study of the specific aspects of a place. Okay, that it studies, okay, a region, a particular area, and it includes study of man and also environment and the relationships. Whereas systematic geography is more topical approach. Okay, it is more thematic approach. Okay, and maybe give some example. Once you have said this, you probably, as a part of introduction, you could have used a diagram. Okay, a diagram which could be a schematic kind. So a regional geography is what all things, systematic geography is what all things. Maybe some examples of regional geographers. So we have Radzel as regional, we have Vidal as regional, we have aerial differentiation as regional. So systematic geographers, lot of contributors of the quantitative revolution time, systematic geography. Systematic geography is more common for physical geography. Okay, so geomorphology, climatology. If you know that diagram, I think most of you should know that diagram. We have a table of this kind. So there is region A, there is region B, there is, or maybe topic. Topic as winds, topic as ocean currents, topic as vegetation. This is region A, this is region B. I hope you remember this. So if you integrate along this line, this becomes regional geography. If you integrate along this line, it becomes systematic geography. Okay, so introduction part, a quick definition. You have a small diagram. It could be a schematic of this kind. Okay, or it could be something of this kind that more or less captures the idea. Okay. Now finish this off in about half a page. Then you come towards the history, quick history, and let it not be more than a paragraph. Okay. So here you'll say that one of the debates of geography or regional versus systematic geography. The history starts from what? Okay, and remember, don't give any history. Don't give a history of regional geography. Give me the history. Why was this question asked? This question was asked because somebody thought that these are two different disciplines and geography should develop only in one side, or one type of work. So some say that regional versus systematic geography. Okay, this has been one of the debates in geography. It can probably be traced to Varenius, who talked about special versus general geography. We can trace it to Kant, maybe, where he insisted geography is only chorology, it is only regional, and it is not systematic. Okay. Whereas we had two very important scholars, now you remember the names. One was, if you remember, we have a man called Otto Schluter. He wanted to develop geography as a systematic geography. And we also have Peschel, Oscar Peschel, who said geography should not include any human aspects. So he also wanted systematic approach. And the most famous debate being areal differentiation versus QR. QR wanted geography to be systematic, and areal differentiation was regional. So finish this off quickly, one paragraph. Maybe you could add one diagram. Okay, what has been the historical debate? Okay, and then you move on towards the main body. Okay. The main body you're asserting. Now your assertion. The assertion that this dichotomy is almost over. Okay, since 1960s, we have behavioral geography, we have humanistic geography. Behavioral geography talks about making laws. Humanistic is still regional approach. Okay, so that's one. Another is you're supporting a statement that yes, geography is both. Another statement here could be that in human geography, we have a lot of regional works, and we also have systematic work. Like in regional work, geography, whatever theories we have, the DTM theory, okay, or Zelinsky's transition models, okay, or I talk about the theories related to economic geography. Okay, so these are systematic approach, and we also have regional. Okay, where we study the specifics. So we have regional agriculture, we have regional climates, or rather regional urbanization studies. Whereas it's in human geography. Whereas in physical geography, systematic geography continues to be important, but we also have regional. So explain this. Having done this, now you're trying to conclude. You'll conclude and say, however, postmodernism, 1980s onwards, 1990s onwards, postmodernism, okay, there is a revival of new regional geography. Now, this is not to say that in geography we do not have systematic at all. We do have systematic, okay, but we have moved on towards, okay, a new type of region where we are focusing on the specifics of a place. There's a lot of focus on humanistic aspects. There is a lot of focus on uniqueness, plus the idea called sense of place, and so on. The conclusion, okay, the bulk of the answer is on you have to agree. That we agree, okay, regional geography is both systematic and regional. Okay, with examples, you are explaining all of that. Okay, you give some names here, you already have given names there. And now you will say that, however, if you look at the recent trends, there seems to be a revival of regional. Now, this is not to say that geography is not systematic. You still have laws, you still have generalizations, okay, but postmodernism is more about, okay, more specifics, and postmodernism discourages the idea of grand theories and totalitarian theories. Okay, and with that, you end up the answer. Is this format all of you? Okay, now, can the history be in bullets? Yes, you can. You can use both. It can be bullets, it can be flowchart, but make sure that no discussion is only bullets. Okay, no geography is only bullets. Okay, some paragraph or 2 line will be nice. Can we add regional synthesis of Berry to this? Yes, you can. Regional synthesis is one of the way of validating, but then make sure you don't enter into synthesis in a big way. We are not trying to explain, okay, what all is in regional geography. Idea is geography has both. How much words? Now see, Pawan, how many words will depend on how big or small you write. I said, no, your answer should be over within, okay, 2 pages, or maximum 2.5 pages. So the introduction, the diagram, let it be about 2/3 of a page, and let the main body start off with the first page. Okay, organic unity of nature doesn't fit in here, beta. Okay, organic unity of nature, Humboldt and Ritter don't start off on those lines. That's a different concept altogether. No, no, no. You have to sit down and do this. The main body you're explaining, okay, you're explaining human geography parts, you're explaining the physical geography. You will give examples here. You will give examples here. Okay, it'll be enough. So if these are the 2 pages, if this is 1 page, this is another page, and the last 1 paragraph is your conclusion. This is where more or less, okay, your introduction ends. So right from here to here, this is your body. Or if you want, you can extend a bit more and you can shift the conclusion to another page if your words permit. The systematic in geography includes lawmaking. But now what is the present status? The present status is we are not rejecting laws, are we? Okay, because postmodernism says we have to go on, but that doesn't mean the entire geography has become postmodernism. By the way, this is the main confusion. Listen. Postmodernism, yeah, always listen here. Postmodernism is not equal to geography, remember. This is just a debate. Reality is, geography has both regional and systematic. Postmodernism is stressing on, okay, let us avoid grand ideas, and that's how I ended the answer. But this is not to say that whatever we study in geography is all around postmodernism alone. Okay. Aparna, do you understand that you have to answer the question? If you want to answer the question, then you cannot end up by saying that because there is synthesis, everything is now only regional or everything is now systematic. You have to be selective in picking up what examples you want to give of systematic and what example you want to give of regional. Why do you want to talk about positivism here, Rahul? Like, it is not about positivism at all. And Shruti, right, exactly, you got the point, Shruti, that Postmodernism is more like a commentary. Exactly. It's more like a commentary on what geography, okay, can be. Doesn't mean that is equal to geography. Okay. Yes, you can add examples, whatever. Why do you want to add examples of locational theory in the body? Okay. There are many other things to say. Locational theories in geography. Oh, examples. Yes, you can. I thought you wanted to explain it. Yes, you can. You give example of von Thunen's theory, an example of systematic geography. You can give examples of Weber's model as systematic geography. Yes, beta, once the format is clear, then it's up to you what references you make. You can take references of Carl Saur, you can take of Wittelse's ideas, Radzel, Vizal. Yes, you can. Okay, so you can take up all the examples. Okay, now let me show something to you before we move on. Let me show something to you first. Can you all see my screen? Are you all able to see my screen? No? Can you see my screen? No? Okay, okay, okay. Then maybe I will have to. Okay. Is it okay now? Can you see my screen now? Not yet? Yes, you can see my screen now. Okay. Now look at the screen. Okay. I will not say a model answer, but a pretty nice one on the formats that we have discussed. Okay. So 15-mark question. I wanted it to be within 2 odd pages, and we are trying doing that. And understand, this is only a suggestion to you guys. It's up to you how you want to develop it, what examples you want to write down. Now, I followed more or less the same idea. Okay, now listen. So we start with this. Okay. So geography, the introduction. Geography as a discipline has always been confronted with methodological dualism between study of aspects of one, like, or systematic topical. So this is an introduction. You can define it or say what it is. So it is about region, chronology, about one place. Okay. Then we find it is both. This is the history part, okay, quickly captured in a small diagram. That this is what regional means. This is what systematic means. Okay. Then geography as regional. So I'm explaining. Okay, geography as regional. Geography is regional because emphasis on description, illustration. Ritter example, Ratzel example, Hetner's example. Now from this we have moved on towards, that is Ganga Plains, some example of regional geography of India. Okay, so I have maintained the introduction, a small schematic diagram here, and now I'm trying to justify it. Okay, I've almost come to the body here. The geography is regional in these ways. Okay, why? Because I give examples of who all have done this. Then I move on towards the next page. Geography is systematic as well. Okay, so it talks about a human environment, population, generalizations, laws, and models. We have Kant, okay, who was, no, this is a mistake. It is Humboldt. The approach was essentially that of Humboldt, not Kant. Kant is a mistake. Who regarded the pioneer of systematic geography. This is studying of the demographic fertility rates across the world, not in one place. Okay, you can also examples of models here. Okay, so geography has both. Now the integration. Okay, geography is focused on particular area, involves depth of study, geographic, regional, systematic. So this could have been taken in the first page. We won't take this up. So it requires both systematic and regional methods. Okay. Now this is another diagram which shows the same idea, physical and regional. Okay. Now the conclusion is I'm asserting. Okay. The conclusion can either, now remember I had explained that the conclusion can either be critical of the idea, the conclusion can be summary also. Okay. The conclusion can also be a kind of debate. So this is one conclusion. In other words, we have Varenius is both regional and systematic, but not exclude one another. In this, you could have added that one sentence of postmodernism. That postmodernism is reviving the new geography aspect, and then you are through with it. Okay. So this answer goes to about say 2.5 or 2/3 page. That's because we have used big diagrams here. My suggestion would have been either you keep this diagram, okay, or you can keep this diagram. You need not have both the diagrams, this and this, because both mean the same. Okay, you want to see the first page? Yes. Yes, you can look up page 73, 74 of your Dikshit also. But then Dikshit's answer is not, okay, the answer is a write-up. You have to convert that into some write-up with examples and a format. Okay. The second one is this one. Talking about this one, Lenovo. This one. So it says, okay, soil sciences, geology, soil. So this approach of physical geography. Okay. Biology. This is all systematic geography. Yes, location analysis is systematic. It's a technique applied to all type of studies. You can merge systematic. Yes, you can try that. You can try doing that also. Okay. So you see, there is no end to what innovations you can use. Okay. The idea is don't get carried away by only one thinking. Let the answer not be only about areal differentiation. The answer should not be only about QR. Don't write too much on regional synthesis. Okay, do not. Yeah, there's no debate. That's why the bulk of the answer I have explained. Towards the end, you are adding a small kind of a debate. The whole answer is not a debate, Pratik. Okay, towards the end, you are adding that yes, in present times there seems to be a shift, but then that's only a suggestion, a commentary, rather than a complete shift. That way, you're not rejecting the entire. Okay, yeah. This diagram you want to talk about? Yes, absolutely, Shubham. Peschel discouraging human aspect was because he wanted to discuss the geography as systematic geography. The last page. Last page. So each of this can become regional geography. Geography of soil, geography of landforms. We combine them together. Okay. Across, so the area has ethnic geography, plant geography, soil. So it now get combined. This diagram is actually more about what have been the influences to geography. That's why this diagram is not the best diagram here. You can use it, but I would still suggest use this diagram. This is a better example of regional versus systematic. Yes, Ajay, I will share all of these answers with you. Okay, I will do that. Is it okay, all of you? Can we move on now? The first answer is done. Okay. Now come towards the second answer. Come towards the second answer now. So second question was rise of geography. Yeah, please. Rise of geography was inescapably tied with the imperialist and expansionist need of colonizing European powers. Comment. Now, I've taken the statement straight away from the textbook. Your Dikshit textbook talks about this. Okay. So, second question is rise of geography. Please write the question down if you don't have the question. Rise of geography was inescapably tied with the imperialist and the expansionist needs of the colonizing European powers. Comment. Okay. Now, for this, you had to know some bit of the history. Okay. Now, come back to your screen now. Okay. Right. So, what I'm asking is, कि एक तो this answer, question is the comment type of question. This is the comment type of question. In a comment question, you can agree. It's more like a debate. You can agree. You can disagree. But always better that you reconcile. Okay? You can take a position. It's always nice to reconcile and say, yes, somewhat true, but not entirely true. That's the idea. Okay? And this question says that development of geography was actually the consequence of the colonial expansion. Consequence of colonial expansion. Okay. Now, I must give you some content on this first. Now, if you remember the class discussions or otherwise, there is reference to Strabo. Strabo, the Roman scholar. Okay. There are works of Humboldt. Okay. We have had voyages. Okay. Humboldt voyages. The most famous being James Cook's voyages. Then we have the German geography. German geography. And since then, we have also had British geography, plus the American, both together as the Anglo-American. Then we can have some references to the critical revolution, where Marxists have come in. Okay, the radical geography has grown. And in the postmodernism, what has been the trend? Humboldt voyages, James Cook. This is where we have modernism in geography, positivism in geography. This was the beginnings of developing grand theories. This was the beginning of generalization of European ideas into discipline. Okay, so look at the screen, please. Now, if you have this much of content, which I believe you know about Strabo, you know this, German geography, you know Ratzel's ideas, and Ratzel talks about, remember Lebensraum? British Anglo geography, This was developed from the mid 20th century geography. And postmodernism is also talking about decolonization. Okay, so this probably what we had to relate a bit more. In this, Strabo, the German, so the Roman geographer, he writes this book called as Geographia. It's like an encyclopedia. And he says this. He says that the purpose of geography and geographers should be detailing a region with its physical aspects, with its human aspects, its governance, the people, so that the Roman expansionist needs and the Roman need of administration can be served. Okay, Strabo is a Roman. He writes a book called as Geographia. And in this book, he has mentioned this, that the purpose of geography should be, okay, to aid administrators, to aid conquests, and to aid the ambitions of the imperial powers. And in doing so, he says, geography can tell about places, geography can tell about the physical aspects. It becomes important for warfare and so on. So in that sense, okay, geography looks like, okay, a subject for expansionist powers. Expansionist powers. Then you start off with the voyages, the James Cook's voyages. So these voyages were not taken, okay, only for discovery. Lot of voyages were the beginnings of the Spanish and Portuguese colonial ambitions. Spanish and Portuguese colonial ambitions. Lot of discovery happened because they wanted to trade. Okay, whether you talk about the spice trade, you talk about the slave trades, you talk about discovery of Mexico, the New Spain. A lot of voyages were the beginnings of, and as voyages starts off, geography knows about places, geography knows about maps, geography details the regional details. Okay. In fact, even Varenius was part of these voyages towards Eastern Asia. Whether he goes to Thailand, he goes to Japan, he's part of those voyages. And Humboldt talks about, okay, the condition of people in Mexico. Somewhere his concern for the colonial oppression, okay, forced him to look at the concept of unity of nature. Okay. Then you come towards the German geography. Now, German geography was more or less, okay, the expansion of Germany's empire. In fact, Germany very aggressively encouraged, okay, scholars to describe places, to come up with new descriptions of the regions, their resources, to come up with descriptions about the people, the history, so that the German expansion objective can be served. Okay, with this, we can write this point down, that in Germany, the phase of professionalism started. In Germany, the phase of professionalism in geography, where there was independent discipline, an independent department, okay, and it was because the government was sponsoring this. A lot of geography happened under Hitler. But Hitler, if you know these names, there was a man called as, you can write this name down for now, a man called as Gehlen. He talks about political geography. You know about this man called Hochhofer, who uses the ideas of Ratzel to discuss, okay, Germany as an organism that must grow. Okay. Now, while doing this, a very important part is the growth of geography happened with the growth of modernism. Now we realize that some of the modernism aspects could actually be part of the European thinking imposed on the others. The whole idea of positivism, to make laws, to generalize. Okay. With modernism, there was a lot of ethnocentric interpretations also. Lot of theories which were valid for Europe, okay, they were made generalized for the rest of the world also. Okay. So this was again a part of that ethnocentric idea that Europe is better, Europe is more representative, that Europe, okay, is no what the developing worlds should aspire for. Somewhere this has been inspired by modernism, and inspired by the Enlightenment project of Europe. And then you can come towards British and American geography. Now, British and American geography was not so overtly colonial, but to some extent British was. Because when Britain starts expansion, that's when Macinder's ideas come in. So Macinder's idea is definitely based on some bit of colonial influence, where Britain is powerful, Britain must conquer, that Britain must eventually control the heartland. So this is definitely an example of the colonial mindset of the British. American geography, okay. Now, this American geography started with QR phase. Okay. Now, QR phase is not so much about colonial expansion, but again, the QR phase was extending the agenda of modernism. Okay. The QR phase, the lawmaking phase, was extending the agenda, which was about developing geography positive and having grand theories. And the moment I say grand theories, lot of theories are actually European-centric theories. Okay, and the criticism of all this, the geography is okay, Europe-centric geography doesn't appreciate the local variations. Geography continues to justify operation, and that's where Marxist comes in. So in some way, the emergence of Marxist geography was the beginning of the colonial geography, where you are now looking at a place from the history of the colonial experience. You're looking at a region from the experience of those who have ruled the regions. By the way, please don't forget the wordings of the question. The question says, the rise of geography was tied with the imperialist expansionist needs of the colonizing European power. Okay, so now I'm moving towards conclusion. Okay, so expansion idea of voyages, expansion idea of Germany, the expansion ideas of Britain. This is the bulk of the answer. Okay, the expansion ideas is also part of the American drive towards modernism. So now I'm trying to wind up the answer. In winding up, saying that the colonial history is now challenging the agenda of furthering the European, colonial ambitions. And then you end and say that in postmodernism, this is now developing geography into a more local geography. Now, we do not want ethnocentric interpretations based on Europe or based on the needs of Europe. That's more important. The geography is now about the place, about the development of the region, and not necessarily a European view alone. Okay, so this was the content of the answer. This was the content of the answer. Okay. You had to know this much to write an answer. So now if I move on towards organization, if I move to organization, I'll maintain the same pattern, okay? You introduce something, okay? You can give a brief history of why it is said so. And then you have the examples in support, okay? You explain what the sentence means. You give the names of geographers and the contributors, and then you move on towards conclusion. This critical revolution and postmodernism, this primarily towards conclusion. The Strabo, okay, could be the introduction, whereas Humboldt up to the British geography. This falls into the history, falls into the examples, explanations, and relate that to geographical concepts. Is it okay, all of you now? Are you all with me? I can't seem to see you guys. Yeah, okay. So we do have some comments here. Okay. How could we use schematics? Now you can show schematic, like say, Manoj is asking me, how can we use schematics? Like say this modernism thing, okay, this could have been a schematic. How the colonial interests were served by modernism. Okay. Can we use determinism and Huntington? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. But the only problem is he is not discussing about, okay, the needs of European powers. It is a Eurocentric. Now, see, just one point here. Just because something is Eurocentric does not mean it is for expansion. You have to take the Eurocentrism idea towards the idea that it was for colonial benefits. Okay. Yes, in the induction, you could have added the idea of Aristotle maybe, but he's saying Europeans are more superior. That's okay. Okay. So you can take a judgment there. Critical revolution was behavioral revolution, sir. But a critical is a very, very broad word. So we have critical revolution for QR. We also have the critical revolution, which was part of radical also. Okay. But yes, unless qualified, critical would mean behavioral revolution. Okay. Challenger expedition, it was not so much of a, because about oceans not conquering anything actually. But yes, American geography and the researchers, yeah, listen to me on this point, I forgot to mention. In the American geography, lot of researches was part of the post World War and part of developments during World War. This part you have to add. I forgot this point. That the researchers of US researchers were part of this World War and the war strategy. And that's how the US now starts spending in ocean expeditions. And if you remember the works of Harry Hess, it was primarily about furthering the US, okay, ambitions. And if you want to take it further, you can also talk about Spikeman's ideas. So Spikeman is trying to demolish the European, okay, or the British hegemony. Spikeman says US can probably control the rimland, and that became the basis of the containment of communism policy. So that is something what we call as neo-colonialism. You would add this if you want to add. Okay. For Strabo, you can open up the textbook. Okay. If you're looking at the old edition, you don't have to read everything. Okay. But if you asked me, that is this chapter of the foundations. Okay. In the foundations chapter, you have page number 23. Okay, page 23 in your new edition, and page 21. I've not checked it. That is the old one. It says this. Like it says, look at the last paragraph. It says Strabo's book was written. Last paragraph, new edition, 23 page. Strabo's book was written to cater to the needs of specific group of readers, namely the officers of the administration, statesmen, and commanders of Roman Empire. The purpose was to provide a handbook of information about places and the people to help the imperial officers in better appreciation and accomplishment of the task. Strabo's book had laid down a clear foundation for chronological writing in geography. Okay, and then it says how during Strabo's and Ptolemy's time, okay, Roman Empire was at its zenith, the largest size, and that's when the state needed to have descriptions of territories as well as territories of it interacted with. This knowledge was necessary. This is page 24 I'm reading. This knowledge was necessary both for effective administration and trade, also for training of younger generation for future administrators. Okay, so that is the Strabo's idea. Okay, fine. For this, I do not have an answer as of yet, but if I have an answer, ultimately I'll share it with you. Okay, so that's question number 2. Let's move on towards question number 3. Okay. Yes, Anchal, you can talk about Vasco da Gama, Christopher Columbus, absolutely. The moment I've said Spanish and Portuguese agenda, you can use that names now. I've given you the broad framework and the broad heads. In that, you start putting content into it. Okay, let's get back now. So the next question was, okay, you can all see my screen, right? I'm assuming you all see my screen. Yes, you can. So the next question is, in the post-war period, so I'm talking about 1940s and onwards. In the post-war period, geography became preeminently human geography explained. Okay. So again, you go by the same format. You have an introduction. You'll try to bring in a bit of history in support. You'll have the main body, and the conclusion can be a quick summary. The conclusion can also be okay, critical of the idea. Okay, and you can use some ideas of postmodernism also if you want to use them. Okay, so it says in the post-war period, geography became preeminently human geography. Okay, it says explain. Sonu, beta, explain, elaborate are, you treat them as same, because if you're elaborating something, you necessarily have to explain something. Okay, so it's more or less the same. These are the first category of words I've said, which are not as probing as discuss, not as probing as comment. Okay, yes, with examples, of course. Any explanation has to be done with examples. So now, the introduction has to be okay, something on the lines that human geography studies, okay, explain agriculture, it explains study economics aspects, study trades, trade, and that there has been lot of debate. Okay, so human geography is what? You can show this as a schematic also. We can show this as a schematic. Then you move on towards debate. Debate that there has been this issue of human versus okay, physical geography. And then you can talk about how Oscar Peschel talks about physical geography. Otto Schluter talks about systematic approach. So there is a preference for physical geography. Preference for physical geography. Lot of work in geography was around the works of geomorphology. Think of Davis, just the names. And then you'll move on. That, however, geography has been both human and physical, and starting from quantitative revolution. Okay, because you are saying post-war. Okay. So starting from quantitative revolution, the laws, the methods, the objective of logical positivism. After QR, the behavioral geography, the study of human perceptions. After QR, the radical phase, okay, about development, about inequalities. Give the names of scholars. Perception, so mention Gold, okay, mention the concept of humanistic in one line, what they talk about. Radical geography, you talk about the works of, okay, D.M. Smith and the rest. So you show all of that. Okay, you're tracing now. Now that the body has started, you're trying to trace that yes, we agree. Okay. These are examples of you are agreeing. And you agree with giving examples. Okay. And you finally conclude by saying, okay, it's not that geography does not have physical aspects anymore. It's not that geography is no longer about physical aspects, but human aspects dominate. If you look at the concerns of local development, we talk about applied aspect. All applied aspect is human geography. You talk about postmodernism focus and the concept of place with the feeling concept. All of this is around human aspect. So in this answer, you don't have much scope to be critical of the sentence. Yes, the only balance could be that geography does talk about physical aspects also. Geography is not ignoring physical aspects. Okay, but geography is more around human aspects. Okay, so while giving examples, here you can use schematics. Okay, so when you're listing down what are the examples of human geography, you can list down that. Okay, and yes, you can say, Nikhil, towards the end, you can say there is a need to coordinate. Okay, but the fact is, human geography is the most important ingredient of geography today. Why this change happened? Uh, yes, you can. Okay, Nishant is asking me, why did this change happen? Okay, so that could be part of one discussion here. I could have added that. Why the change happened? Where geography is increasingly being acknowledged as man-environment studies. Okay, it's about how environment impacts man and how man impacts environment. So the moment man comes in, you have to make it human geography. Yes, absolutely. Why not? You can explain. New developments in physical geography, GIS. Better GIS and climate analysis is still human aspects. So I've been looking at GIS, looking at mapping for resources, looking for or climate analysis, looking at the problems of climate from the perspective of man. So that's again applied aspects. So today it's almost impossible to have geography only as physical geography. And bulk of whatever we have is around human aspects. Drawback of QR, you can, but I think your answer will get stretched. Okay. But Rahul, possibilism, yes, you can start from it. You can mention that the shift of geography, this could be a part of a history, that the shift of geography towards human geography had started with the new determinism of Germany. Okay, with Ratzel, with Vidal, with Richthofen, and with Hettener, the shift towards human geography had started. Okay, but in the German school, in the American school, you still had a lot of impact of Darwinism in physical geography. Okay, so you can start from there, but the question focusing on the war developments. Okay, no, Shivani, you can say that, but don't elaborate that too much. Okay, don't elaborate that too much. You can have a passing reference to why physical geography loses out, primarily because the other disciplines also have taken up. You can say, but don't elaborate too much there. Okay. So the end could be on the idea of regional synthesis for that matter. You could end the answer on the concept of regional synthesis if you want to end up. Okay. So we are done with this answer. Next, question number 5. Yeah, please come back. Question number 5. What is the importance or significance of language religion? It says, how significant is language and religion in the development of regional human geography? And I had given the hint in the answer itself, question itself. Question number 4. Oh, yes, yeah, I'm sorry. Question number 4. Postmodern geography of 1990s stands out as unified discipline that combines the best, it says nest, I'm sorry. That combines the best of every tradition. You remember, while discussing, giving you notes on postmodernism, I had said, look at postmodernism more like a commentary. Look at postmodernism more like a summary of what's happening and not necessarily rejection of any one idea. Okay, I'll suggest you can look up this page. Page number, now in your new edition, please open up chapter 15. This is not there in your old edition. Page 311. Or is it there? I can't recall. Does your new edition, old edition have this? Because I'm more or less focusing on the, I don't think it had. Let me check up. The old edition. Yes, it has. Yes. Chapter 15, yes. Chapter 15, old edition, it is 283. And in the new edition, it is 311. 311. And this chapter is a very good chapter that summarizes whatever developments we have. And this chapter, along with the chapter of postmodernism, I think I made you write that sentence, okay, where postmodernism is more like a commentary. It is not a rejection of the ideas. Okay, it is polyphonic, exactly. Okay, so you remember those pages, use that. And in this, you talk about how geography is more about not simply grand theories. It is not simply about making grand because in grand generalizations, you end up missing the specifics. So if you look at postmodernism, look at the screen, please. If you look at postmodernism, it has influences of regional geography. It has influences of humanistic. It also has influences of Marxist geography. Okay, and of course, all of this ultimately becomes human geography. Okay. And what is against is random generalizations, because see, Generalizations is where you move towards ignoring the human aspects because of focus on positivism. So if you know this much content, I believe this answer should not have a problem. Okay. It's a unified discipline. It includes the best of regional aspects. It includes the best of humanistic. It includes the best of radical. Okay. Now see, one very important point. Postmodernism is using data. Postmodernism uses local facts. Postmodernism is including local numerical analysis. So in some way, postmodernism also uses quantification, but quantification is not for making laws. Okay? This is a very important point here. Humanistic geography was rejection of any kind of numbers. But in postmodernism, we are saying we can use some quantification, but the quantification should not move towards making laws. That's the point. So it has used the best of QR, it has used the best of radical geography, used the best of humanistic, and the best of regional. So in that sense, postmodernism is, yes, exactly what the word, polyphonic. No, it's not continuation of Harshon-Schoffer debate. Abhishek, you're getting the idea wrong. I think I very clearly said that postmodernism is not Harshonian. Harshonian was exclusively positivist. Harshonian, in fact, ignores man because Harshon does not talk about the social issues in the regional studies. Okay, so do not call him that. Now, this was the content. Criticism of postmodernism, it's too early to have criticisms actually, because it just started off, and like we said, it is taking the best of the other disciplines. At best, we can say that removing generalizations altogether can impact the physical geography. Otherwise, there is nothing as such in a big way which you can say is against the ideas of the modern discipline. Okay, the link between QR. Okay, now listen. QR is about two things. It's about using numbers, quantification, plus theories. Postmodernism says numbers is okay. I'm not saying geography should be only numerical analysis. But say if I'm talking about inequality, if you're talking about poverty, if you talk about human development, okay, are we not using quantification? We are using numbers. We're using statistical methods. But postmodernism says that this kind of study should not be moving towards theory making. It should not be moving towards grand generalizations. That's why postmodernism takes the best of QR also. Postmodernism is using concepts like systems analysis also, but it does not take it towards grand theories. Lot of urban studies, urban poverty, urban planning, urban infrastructure. Lot of urban studies are post postmodernism studies. Okay. Postmodernism also includes the revival of cultural studies. In fact, uh, you know, the idea, I have asked a question already, that are we moving towards a post-secular world? The post-secularization is also part of postmodernism. So one of you asked me some examples. And these are the examples. The post-secularization process, urban geography, the inclusion of cultural details of a place in a region, okay, or looking at, you know about feministic geography, right? Okay, it's looking at problems of inequality, poverty as a part of women gender issues. So all those are examples of, okay, postmodernism. Radical geography, it was challenging the capitalism. That's how it was a deconstruction of capitalism. So in that sense, okay, the Marxist influence is there, but postmodernism is not entirely Marxist. Okay, fine. Let me move on now. I think this answer is done. Okay, this one is done. Let me just check once if I have an example on this. Okay, example on this. Just a minute. I don't remember. Let me just check up. Yes, I do have. That's how. Okay. Now look at this page, please. Can you all see the page? Postmodern geography of 1990s stands out as, okay, unified discipline that combines the best of, okay, every tradition. So we started with the basic, like, introduction that postmodernism is the works of urban geographers like Ed Soja, Michael Deere. Postmodernism is a recent tradition. Mention the year 90s onwards, want to. Status on openness of opinion, inquiry, and so on. So this diagram is capturing, okay, the essence of postmodernism. The postmodernism is against grand theories. Postmodernism is against positivism. It's against organized capitalism and against quantification. But यहाँ पे add करते हैं ना, it is against quantification for theorizations. It is pro-humanistic. Okay, it's about post-Fordist. This is where anti-capitalism comes in. Post-Fordists, flexible accumulation. It talks diversity, heterogeneity, subjective ideas from humanistic aspects. So this diagram captures the essence of what is postmodernism. Now, how is it unified? So postmodernism includes political economy perspective. Postmodernism includes humanistic perspective. Okay. Postmodernism, it also includes uh, transitions from what, okay, this one. It also has a spatial dimension. Okay, but spatial not from the point of making laws. This new concept of space is the idea of place along with sense of place. So it has a spatial dimension. In fact, this was one of the criticisms of humanistic and even behavioral geography, that humanistic and behavioral geography were losing the idea called location. So postmodernism brings the location back. Postmodernism and regional studies. Okay, this was the idea of place. Postmodernism and ethnography. A lot of diversity of people, their cultures, local knowledge, and ethnography. And we again have summed up here It agreed with problem solving, that's radical geography. Man's perception, so behavioral geography. It favored idea of space, sense of place, and spatial science in social context. That's an important one. This postmodernism is not against spatial approach, but the spatial approach should not be ignoring the human aspects. The spatial science approach in the social context. And finally, urban geography in urban areas. Okay, your conclusion, like a summary. So you can look up the answer again, please. I'm leaving it on the screen. You can take some jottings and I will share the answers with you. Whatever answers I have here, I will share the answers with you. That was the first page. Okay. These themes is where the debates are. You can use whatever thereafter you want. You can use HDI case study. Okay. Yes, you can, because when we talk about development and inequalities, yes, you can. I'm only demonstrating what your answer can have. In fact, I think this is a very nice sketch. Okay. In fact, maybe you could remove this one. This diagram that we have, where postmodernism is challenging some of the ideas of modernism, this you can remove. Okay. This you can remove. Okay. On the second page. And this one is a nice one, because this captures the scope of postmodernism and how it is integrating. Yes, Pavan, you can thereafter play. So Sonu, figure number 4 is most important, not redundant. Okay. So I think you are having an idea about how to structure your answers. Yeah. Maddie, that's a bad question. Can you replicate them? By heart them. All of you listen. This problem I also had while discussing MSP. Sorry, in CCMP. A lot of students are now concerned, sir, how can we write such answers? Please understand, you're trying to qualify a very, very competitive examination. And the fact is, most students cannot do this, okay, is why they miss out. And those who can do something like this, they have an edge. Okay, and I'm trying to demonstrate that to you. So what you can do is, you can quickly start memorizing these answers. And by the time I've shown you, okay, 30, 40, 50 answers, you memorize them, your pattern of the answer will develop. So Maddie, nothing to get so frustrated about. The whole purpose of teaching was that. Why am I showing answers? Why? Now listen, this is the reason why I keep telling you guys, practice more rather than blindly join a test series. Until you know what a good answer is and what it looks like, until you have done some answer writing, you join a test series is of no consequence. Okay. We can only discuss the content, but how does the content look like? So Maddie, this is not something you'll ask me again. What I want is memorize the answers. I'll give the answers to all of you. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so we are done with this answer now. I'll share the answers with you guys. Okay, so let's move on. The next question. How significant is language and religion in the development of regional human geography? Relate with Cluter, Carl Saur, and later postmodernism. I think nothing to add here. You more or less know the answer. How important it is? Okay, so if you look at the typical, I'll quickly discuss this because I think you know this already. Okay. Just a minute. Yeah, you have some doubts here? Figure 3 needed. Repeat the question. I'm doing that. I'm saying, how significant is language and religion in the development of regional human geography? Basically, debate is how important is culture? Okay. How, write the question, please. How significant is language and religion? How significant is language and religion in the development of regional human geography? Okay. And the hint I've given you is relate with the works of Schluter, Karl Sauer, and postmodernism debates. Okay. Now, if you look at the content here, you could start off, okay, with the introduction that human versus physical geography has been an old debate. Physical versus human geography has been an old debate. And directly come into that since the German geography, you cannot see my screen? Can you see my screen? Yes, you can. Yes, okay. So let's concentrate please on the answer. Okay. See, one point, listen to me, all of you. This is something I can see in your answers. Most of you try to fit in a couple of words in the answer. Okay. Understand the overall question. What does the question demand? And then you decide what all you want to add. The fact is, the answer cannot have everything. You're asking me, sir, can we add possibilism? Of course you can add possibilism. Why should that be a doubt in the first place? But the point is, do you understand the question or not first? The question is not on possibilism. You write only possibilism. I'm asking you very specifically the importance of language and religion. So if you mechanically write possibilism, then you're missing the topic again. One. Number two, now you know more than many other students. You know about Otto Schluter now. You know postmodernism now. You know Karl Sauer. How many of regular students will know these concepts? So your objective should be not only putting the regular content, but putting more of the important one also. Okay? Like the whole idea called sense of place. Sense of place has lot of language aspects. It has lot of religion aspects. So don't blindly ask me, can we add this or not? You can add anything in any answer. You can add the idea called regional synthesis in the answer. But you should be able to relate this topic with the idea called language and religion. Okay, so don't keep on focusing on only one or two words. Understand the overall answer, please. Okay, so start the answer by saying that human physical geography has been an old debate, but since German schools influence, particularly, I mentioned Ratzel here, Richthofen here. We can talk about the works of Hettener also here. Okay, the geography has become a lot of human aspects, and mention human is this one. That is your basic one or two sentence introduction. And then you say that language and religion are the two most important aspects of culture. Okay. Language, religion, in many ways decide traditions and traditions decide the man-impact relationship, man-environment relationships. Okay. But then you say there have been debates. In the works of Otto Schlüter, he says we will add the elements of religion and human culture, but not study it itself. He kind of rejects study of religion and language, but he says we study the impact of this. Then you have Carl Saar. We talk about Berkeley School, talk about morphology of landscape, and how this is around language and culture. Then you move about how language and culture was ignored in the QR phase. It was ignored. It was humanistic that brings back religion and culture. And from humanistic, you move on towards postmodernism. By the way, in geography, apart from QR rejecting culture, even Marxism ignored language and culture. If you remember that this conversation we had, that Marxist geography was also not pro-language culture. Marxist geography was also a kind of a grand law. It was anti-spatial. Yes, Marxist geography was anti-spatial. Okay. So in the end, you end the answer towards postmodernism. And I'll just mention one point to you. Listen, this is something we could have discussed. Now see, there is structuralism. Structuralism is more or less modification of Marxism. It does talk about the concept of deep imperatives. Structuralism talks about deep imperatives. Deep imperatives includes religion and traditions. But what happens is, structuralism does not really focus on this. For structuralism, the solution is still managing the political economy. For structuralism, the focus is still political economy and capitalism. Okay? It is still political economy and capitalism. But when post-structuralism comes in, when we have post-structuralism, the shift is now more towards religion, more towards language. Okay. Postmodernism also includes gender issues. And the focus here in post-structuralism, the focus is not political economy. So they will not ask you what is post-structuralism, okay, but you can use this sentence that post-structuralism is more about language. It is more about religion. Yes, but we are trying to elaborate. You're right. Language and religion is the basis of culture. So that way, yes. Okay. So can we add a case study? Okay. Uh, but I do not know how we'll justify the case study. Our question was that in the development of regional geography, language, religion is more important. Okay. But can you prove, Pavan, that cultural regions of India, they are the most important part of regional study of India? Just mention that much. Okay. But can you listen to me? This is the mistake you all are making. Again, the same problem. Listen. Come on to a new page. Listen. Listen. What is cultural or what is regional geography? Give examples. Listen to me, all of you. What is regional geography? What is cultural geography? Give examples. Examples are cultural hearth, cultural regions, linguistic regions, ethnic regions. Okay. We have religious diversity studies. Okay. Second point is how religion and language is the most important part of regional studies. Because see, the other regional study is what? Can you give me an example of a regional study which is not around religion and culture? Anybody? Or language? Can you give me an example of a regional study which is not around language and religion? Yes, examples of agriculture regionalization, like ecumene, non-ecumene, perfect, urban planning, aerial differentiation, perfect, exactly. But that's what we're trying to, that's the topic about. That if you look at regional geography today, tell me how important is language and regions and religions. So if you write just this one, okay, this does not confirm and tell me that this is the crux of regional studies. So what you guys are doing is, you are looking for examples of religion and language, but you are not asserting that religion language is the most important part of regional geography today. So if you just mention the schemes of Borg, you mention the schemes of Carl Sauer, okay, that is not enough. So how is it more important? You have to go towards the trends in geographical studies, the trends in postmodernism, the trends in post-structuralism, the trends in the American school. Okay? So, same problem again you're asking me, Abhishek. The question is not about what are the examples of regional geography with religion and culture. Then the question is about, is it the most important one or not? So you can mention Bork Webb's scheme, but don't elaborate it. Okay. You must mention more of Berkeley School, Chicago School. But Chicago School is not about language and religion. Pranjal, Chicago School is cultural aspect, but Chicago School is about class inequalities. Chicago School is about patterns of urban space development. Chicago School is not about language and religion, the way it developed under Parks and Ernst, Burgess. Okay? Pura geographical thought is around history. Okay, so you have to go on those lines. I don't think and reject, because that's the trend. That is the trend. Okay. So fine. And that takes care of this question. Uh, you can see my screen. So look at this answer, please. How significant is language and religion in the development of regional human geography? So we have taken up something from the textbook itself, okay, so that you have a kind of a model answer with you. So according to Patterson, regional geography is a purpose, clarifies regions, identity. So a quick definition. Now this schematic is a bigger one. You could have made this into a smaller one. Okay. Okay. Can you all see my screen? Can you all see my screen? Yes. Okay. So this was a bit too detailed schematic. It's almost a whole page. You can shorten this. Just a quick example of that region approach included with Varenius, Kant, Ratzel, Vidal, Schluter, Karlsor, Hartshorne. So this is a kind of summary of how the region concept developed. But I'll discourage such a big elaborated one. Okay. Now come to the answer, the proper body. Significance of language and religion development. So religion includes, okay, part of culture, lifestyle, worship. So I'm explaining what religion is. Okay. So we have important role in shaping landscapes. Now you're giving example here. How religion is important of, okay, Israel, Palestine. Okay. So as a passing reference, Carl Saur, cultural landscape, Otto Schluter, what he says. Okay. Move on towards postmodernism, post-structuralism. Okay. So deliberately in this answer, we are not elaborating Boerk's scheme. We are not giving a big write-up on what are the language regions of India. Just mentioning, okay, that religion has been part of Indian studies also. So a quick small diagram, Indo-Aryan and Dravidian family. So a map of, okay. And then now this paragraph, I would have liked that you elaborate this. Okay. So in this answer, this could be the main modification. Okay. In your answer, this could have been elaborated. This could have been better structured. Okay. So words like postmodernism, post-structuralism, okay, how Otto Schluter was accepting yet not accepting, okay, Carl Saur. So this paragraph should have been elaborated a bit more. Okay. And I am not happy with this conclusion. This conclusion is a very generic one, where the conclusion has moved towards the culture is a very significant part of policy formulation. I would have liked more, okay, towards, I'll discuss it today itself, what is the concept of post-secularism. In post-secularism, we are now increasingly adding the idea that religion matters. Okay. Yes, Shubham. What are the views of scholars in religion, in regional geography? That was what is the more important part. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That your answer should not have had, okay, too much of schemes. The answer should have had how scholars and geographers think about religion and culture as a part of regional geography. Exactly, Pavan. This is what paragraph I want to modify. So we had an answer, but we could not get the modified new answer. Geosophy. Yes, Shivam. Exactly. Very good, Shivam. Geosophy was important here. Okay, Geosophy and the works of John Wright, that could have been important. Ritter, just a passing mention maybe, but Ritter's is not what I'm discussing. Okay, Geosophy was an important point. Absolutely. This answer should have included, okay, the new definition of geography as geosophy in the words of John Wright, where geosophy is, okay, geography from the perspective of the people who live, that includes their practices like religion. And geosophy is what develops humanistic, and that's what develops even postmodernism eventually. So that's a good point. Yes. Topohila, a role of religion in place identity. Yes. Yes, Arpit. These are the modifications you can add. The topohila you can add. Yes. Or I had used a word called as culture turn. The culture turn, which is about postmodernism. Okay. So yes, you could add that. So what I'm trying to emphasize is that this answer should not be about cultural regions of the world. Is it okay, all of you here? This answer should not be about cultural regions of the world. This answer is about tell us, is cultural region or is regional geography more towards religion and language or not? Yes, you're right, Manoj. The linguistic studies have not been as much as religion. But just to mention that. Okay, because in many areas, the linguistic regions coincide with the religions, like Arabic language and the Arabic region, the Jewish Semitic language and the Jew region, religion, the Anglo-America English and Christianity. There is a lot of overlap here. You can't separate religion from language in studying this. Okay, so this is the modification. Like I said, this was an answer attempted, but this was not the best answer, but I gave a sense of what the answer should have had. But speaking honestly, even if this answer was written, you would have got good marks. Reason because others would have written more on, okay, explaining what was the cultural region of the world. Okay, let's move on now. The second set. You want a short break? I thought I could have gone on. Okay, fine. Take a 5 minutes break. Okay, take a 5 minutes break. That's okay with me. Okay, so by my watch, okay, it is 10:53. So please be back by, okay, in 5 minutes. So be back by 11 o'clock. Okay. So are we all back? Yeah. Yes. So guys, are these sessions helping you? Or do you want me to change something in this? Ideally, it would have been best if all of you could write answers and I could have checked them one by one. But that's not possible, beta, because time constraints. Okay. So do you want me to change something? And actually, by the way, one more thing I want all of you to be conscious about. The same questions will not be asked in your examination. Okay. The idea is to give you content and show you how you can modify the content if required for the exam purpose. So my idea is give you enough content plus show you the structuring part. Okay. And trust me, if you by heart 10, 15 answers of this kind, I'll share the answers with you. Okay. Just mug them up. Once I've explained the basis of the answer writing, you just have to memorize the answers. If you memorize it well, I don't think you'll have problems thereafter. Okay, so I will do that better. One by one, Kirti, I intend to help you with that. Okay. Now listen, you cannot cover everything in 1 month. The problem is you guys have left geography and last 1 month you have wasted. Okay. If you have controlled geomorphology and thought, I don't think you'll have any problem here. Okay. Short discussions. Okay, fine. If you think the discussions are long, I'll cut it short, not a problem. Let me know when it's going. Okay. So I will try to cut it short. Then fine, let's move quickly now. Okay. See, whatever suits you guys, I'm here, I will teach. Okay. I don't know if all of you realize this or not. I'm not at home right now. Did you realize this? I'm actually traveling. Okay. And the place where I am right now, it is morning 7 o'clock. Which means when I started the class for you, it was morning 4:30, 5 o'clock. I'm not in Indian time zone. Okay. And to get ready for your class, I've been up since morning 3 o'clock. The point is, I'm not saying, the point is I'm there. If you guys are ready to study, I'm there, don't worry. Okay. That's because I'm keeping this Google thing. Okay. So it tells me the time of India and also the other cities. That's how I know what the time in India is. Yes, Ankit, I am in Europe. Actually, it's a very important part of my life. Just 2 minutes. I don't know if you know this or not. I've been doing some courses. So I'm also studying and I've come here for my graduation. So in 1 week or 10 days from now, I will be graduating with a new degree, a lot of which I'm discussing with you guys in an indirect way. So I am studying. I have my class in another 1.5 hours. So I have to go and sit in my class and the teachers will teach me. Okay, let's not digress now. Get back, get back. Thank you so much. Thank you for your congratulations. I hope when I graduate, I'll show you my certificate also. Okay. Okay, fine. Let's get back now. Okay. So now the first set of questions is done. Okay. Let's get to. There are 3 more questions on thought. Okay. rather 4 more. Look at the last set. The last set, the 5 questions are again thought questions. Let us stop there. Let's continue from there. It says, discuss how rejuvenation of geography as spatial science was greatly aided by the concept of general systems theory. Okay, so let me share my screen with you. Okay, so this is the screen. I'm asking that rejuvenation of geography. Rejuvenation of geography as spatial science. It happened because of the systems approach. Okay. Now see, when we use the word rejuvenation for geography, there are 2 things. Rejuvenation after the areal differentiation, and we have rejuvenation post QR criticism also. In areal differentiation, geography was becoming mechanical description. In areal differentiation, geography was growing as an isolated subject with goals independent of other subjects. Okay, so what happened was QR revived interest. It revived interest. But see, in the revival of QR, a very important thing is that we required a lot of analysis, we required a lot of theorization, we required quantification. And as our analysis got more complex, it was difficult to develop theories. Okay, so I'm saying the rejuvenation started with QR. Okay, QR was a very important step in reviving interest in geography, because under areal differentiation, geography was mechanical description, geography was getting isolated. But with QR, okay, there was revival. But what happened was, as we started quantification and the analysis became more complex, in analysis, more and more factors were included. In analysis, okay, more and more statistics got included. Now, theorization became difficult because it was difficult to establish the cause-effect relationship. It was difficult to establish the cause-effect relationship. Now, this is where the systems approach comes handy. Okay, systems approach helps here. Why? Because it helps us relate, it helps us better factorial analysis. Systems approach helps us, okay, develop, okay, the structure of functioning better. So this question, you did not have to elaborate what is systems analysis in a big way. Okay. So the advantage systems analysis is the systems analysis was helping us to understand the cause-effect relationships better. Okay. Now, what were the examples of systems approach in geography? Example is location analysis of Peter Haggett. Systems analysis was used to physical geography like Berry. And very, very important is systems analysis was able to develop geography into an applied discipline also. For example, in urban planning. So when systems approach came up in geography, systems approach helped analysis better. But just give me 2 minutes. I need to charge my or link my laptop to the charger. They conk off very fast. Just give me 2 minutes. Yeah, I'm back. Okay. So our question was what? Our question is not about, it is not about what is systems approach. The idea is systems approach is rejuvenating geography and the QR. Its rejuvenation happens because geography gets more objectively analytical. Geography can now handle the multifactorial analysis, and geography also gets applied because we're using urban, and take the discussion towards the more recent approaches. The more recent approaches, we say geography is using systems approach. It is using systems approach, understanding climatic aspects, for agriculture planning, for watershed development. Okay, so that explains how systems approach is now making the development as spatial science more relevant to our studies. Geography is no longer the bland quantification. It can develop the systems approach to understand how the factors are related to one another. So this was your content. Now, if you talk in terms of how could you have structured the answer, the same structuring. I'm not able to read this. So structuring of the answer, you again have introduction. You could have along with a schematic. You can have a brief history, and this is the relationship with areal differentiation and QR. Then the main body, how it helps understand structure of functioning, the cause-effect relationship, the multivariate discussions, factorial analysis, and applied aspect. For these, give examples. Examples is location analysis in geography, Haggett's, watershed development, urban planning, and finally the conclusion. Okay, the conclusion can be about the system's approach is still relevant in understanding any type of complex variable based analysis. Okay, that's more or less the structure of the answer. Okay, so is this question okay, all of you? Okay. The body part is what I had shown you just now. The body is, okay. The body is explained how systems approach gives us a structure, organization, hierarchy. Like it tells us what is where. Okay. Systems approach helps us understand cause effect better. What factor applying where. When we have too many of variables, multivariate functions. Okay. So when there are too many variables, there are too many factors, to integrate them into one, systems approach is very nice. So systems approach is very nice for any type of complex functioning. Okay. So this type of approach helps us in a lot of complex analysis and applied. I'll give examples. The conclusion can have something around the negatives also. Okay. But not necessarily. It's all up to you. If you can include the human aspects, okay, systems approach also applies there. Okay, so a lot of systems approach has been used in human aspects like watershed development. Okay, schematic. This body itself could have been a schematic. This one could have been a schematic. And in the paragraph, you could have one or two paragraphs. Okay, so fine. This answer is done. Let's move on now. The next question, again, geographical thought. Focused anthropocentrism in geography came only with humanistic perspective. Do you need me to discuss this? Okay, I think human geography. Yes, you can do one thing. You can do one thing. So, I'll discuss it for you. Okay. The structuring part I can explain. Okay. Now see, it's saying focused anthropocentrism. Okay. Focused anthropocentrism. What this basically means is anthropocentric approach is not new. See, don't read the question as how has geography become anthropocentric? That's not the question. The question is anthropocentrism is not new. So you have to have a bit of history. Can you tell me what are the examples of old anthropocentrism? Can you give me some examples to me, please? What are the examples of old anthropocentrism? Ratzel, yes. Aristotle, okay, fine, but that's stretching too much. Ritter, absolutely. Lot of anthropocentric studies starts with Ritter. Okay, the man geography is very prominently Ritter. Like Ratzel, yes. Who else? Who else are anthropocentric in their approach? Vidal, don't forget Vidal. Like a lot of man environment study was Vidal, absolutely. Carl Saur, absolutely. Carl Saur. Now, Griffith Taylor is not a very good example here. Ellen Semple, I'll say no. Okay. See, there are no end to what names you can use. Jean Bruns, yes. Faber, yes. Possibilism, yes. Okay. So don't randomly, Arpit, Lee's push-pull model, oh my goodness. Where are you going? Okay. Where are you going? You are not wrong. Barrows, yes. The concept of human ecology, yes. Okay. French school, absolutely. The French school and also the new determinism of Germany under Ratzel. Okay. So what I'm saying is that anthropocentric, Carl Saur, yes, anthropocentrism is not new. Okay, but then the focused anthropocentrism, as in, but the focus is man. Dekho, in Radzil, now listen to me, all of you. Be it Radzil, be it Huntington, be it Semple, be it even Carlsor. Now, their focus was not man. Okay? Their focus was not man. Their focus was the man-environment relation. And they were more focused about the landscape and the changes. In the list, you can also add sequent occupants. Okay, so there is a historical anthropocentrism, an old anthropocentrism, which is around man and what man does. But the focus of anthropocentrism was more on landscape study. In fact, that is how Carl Saur says the geography is the study of morphology of landscape. Okay. Now what we are saying is this type of approach, okay, was even more focused when humanistic geography came in. Because see, in humanistic approach, a very important aspect was perception. A very important aspect was, okay, man's cognition, even culture and the culture turn. Feelings became very, very important. In all this old, absolutely correct, in this old anthropocentric approach, feeling had no place. Vishui tha. And by the time the QR comes in, by the time positivism comes in a strong way, the feelings are all the more rejected. Okay. So in this older paradigm, okay, what we're saying is the geography somewhere is compromising. But when you move on towards humanistic, okay, you move towards humanistic, then we have a more focused approach. And take the discussion towards how this focused approach continues in postmodernism. And just mention, and post-structuralism. Language is important, religion is important, local culture, diversity is important, feminism is important. Okay. So geography from the colonial perspective, that's again about man. Okay? Earth as dwelling of man, you can go on thereafter. Yes, but the answer was on this new one. Read the question again, please. And then you can go on, not an issue. Crowding, privacy, and you can go on, topohila and the rest. Okay? So I repeat the question. It says, focused anthropocentrism in geography came only with humanistic perspective. Elaborate. In this, you really don't have much scope, okay, to disagree on this. Okay? So did you understand how we are reading the questions now? Do not get trapped by only one word of the question. Most of you, the moment you see anthropocentric, then you start off elaboration. Here the key word was, it is not new, but now it is more focused. So if you could get that sense, you have got the content right. Okay, so if you want to organize this answer, so organization could be on these lines. If you organize the write-up, so what we have is introduction. You could probably define or quick explanation of what is anthropocentric. A history, talk about a bit of the past. Now, you could have used a schematic very nicely here. The old anthropocentrism, what were the components? And what were the criticisms? Okay. Then you come towards the main body. The main body, the new anthropocentrism. What were the elements of this? The elements were, okay, perception and cognition. The elements are also bring in geosophy. You want to bring in. It includes feelings because I have geosophy feelings. None of this is there in the old one. The new ones talk about gender feminism, talk about local cultures under postmodernism. And remember, postmodernism is very much influenced by the humanistic tradition. Okay, and having done this, we try a conclusion. The conclusion includes basically agree on this and maybe take the discussion towards post-structuralism, language and religion, and the concept of secularization. Is it okay, all of you? Is it fine? Any doubts you might have? Yeah? Social relevance is also anthropocentric, yes. Okay, yes, once you have brought that in, but our point was, how is it more a part of humanistic? Okay, the conclusion ends up in agreeing, and you take the discussion further towards post-structuralism, language and religion. Yes, topo, hila, tuan, sense of place. Can you end with environmental geography? Because see, when you say anthropocentric, it's not about man impacting nature. It's more about human thinking, human feelings, human perceptions, which makes it more anthropocentric. The applied aspect, yes, that could be a good one. Okay, you need not elaborate Harris and Guelka, just passing references. Okay, passing references where the idealism, don't elaborate too much. Okay, you can have a box in that schematic that we talked about. Okay, you could have had a box maybe that you could have done. Okay, while discussing these aspects here, you could have a small box. Okay, some of the name of humanistic geography and how it was man-centric. So idealism of Guelka and Harris and phenomenology, okay, the existentialism. Okay, mention some names here. Okay, and maybe if you can add something very specific that looks like man-centric. Like said, somebody said Topohila is an example of man-centric. Existentialism is man-centric, and so on. So that you could have done. This could have added a summary of how it is more anthropocentric. Okay, let's move on now. The next question. The next question. The three dominant paradigms, please come back. The three dominant paradigms in post-war human geography has been logical positivism, humanism, and historical materialism. Explain this. You explain how post-war, uh, there have been three themes around which we have had development of geography. The three themes were the concept of logical positivism, second is humanism, and historical materialism. So when you say post-war, I'm talking about 1940s onwards. When you say logical positivism, this is essentially QR and all the techniques of QR. When you say humanism, this is humanistic geography. And when you say historical materialism, you're talking about the Marxist approach and the radical geography. And logical positivism of QR continues in the behavioral geography. So in this question, you could have ended in saying that postmodernism is more polyphonic. Postmodernism is more inclusive of all these ideas. And say that the new trends include applied approach. The new trends include, now this is going beyond humanistic. The new trends includes feministic, and feministic is not historical materialism alone. It's beyond that now. The new trends include post-structuralism. बेटा ये अगर ये दो वर्ड पता है आपको ना, postmodernism and some reference to post-structuralism, this can be a very nice answer to many questions of geography thought. You can use some schematics here. So essentially, if I look at the organization of how I've developed the answer, if you look at the organization, the introduction, a quick history maybe, using schematics, what was pre-war geography. Pre-war geography was essentially determinism and possibilism. Post-war, now this is the body. Post-war, QR was a major paradigm change. Post-war QR starts off logical positivism and the development of humanistic, the development of historical materialism. This also is elaborate. And the conclusion is on That yes, the broad themes are logical positivism, humanism, and historical materialism. But geography has gone beyond this into postmodernism. Geography has gone into postmodernism. Is it okay, all of you? Yeah. Paradigms, absolutely, yes. I was avoiding that word because some of you may not know the concept. It'll be very nice, it'll be very nice if you can use the works of Kuhn's paradigm. Yes. So I think most of you know this, not a problem then. So you have got the pre-paradigm, then you have a paradigm, you have got critical phase, and then you jump new phase here, the first critical revolution, then you have the second one. Okay, these are concurrently going on. Yes, that could be the conclusion that in geography, and for that matter in any of the geographies subjects, most of these trends happen concurrently. In fact, this could add. Listen, this could be a very important point, that geography is an immature science. Okay, the geography is an immature science. What I mean by this is, see, if a subject becomes mature, then its content and its method both will crystallize. In a mature science, there are no debates, there are no disagreements, and there are no new contradictions. If you look at geography, geography has been a history of debates and very strong challenges. The themes are still evolving. The themes are still evolving. Example of this is that even after logical positivism, even after humanism and radical approach, we still have new trends of postmodernism, post-structuralism. So in your answer, you could have used this sentence as a conclusion. The geography is an immature science. This could have been a part of your conclusion. Is it okay, all of you? Is that good enough? Okay, fine. Okay, let's move on now. Let's take up the next one, which is what is the, okay. Now this requires a bit of teaching. Question number 4 and 5 requires a bit of teaching. So will take us some more time. Okay, guys, let's do one thing. It's getting late for my class now. So shall we continue after some time? Okay, by your watch, it is 11:40 in your watch. Okay, I can join you at around I can join you at around, just let me see my schedule once again. Yeah, I can join you in another. We can join by 2:30. Will that be fine? 2:30 by your watch? Yeah. Let's try doing whatever we can, and I'll try to upload whatever we have discussed and shared with you guys also. Okay, and some of the answers also I will share. Okay. So let's call it a day now. I must rush to my class, have my breakfast also. I'm late now. I'll come back by 2:30 and let's see how long we can continue thereafter. Right? Okay. 2:30 will start, not 3 o'clock, 2:30. I'll upload, I'll see if I can do it here itself. Okay, I'll upload the answers also for you guys. And all of you, please check your announcements on the Telegram channel. Okay, that's important because otherwise I can't inform each one of you separately. Some of you have joined me afresh. Okay, some of you joined me for the first time. See the Telegram channel. Can somebody please post the link on the chat, please? Okay, on the mail I've given you the link. Okay, please post the link if you can on the chat box and check your mail because MSP students do not have a Vajiram portal. Okay, so you'll have to go by the mail. Okay, and I'm trying to update your mail as quickly as possible. Yeah, thank you, Nikhil. Okay, all of you please use this link to take announcements. So catch you by 2:30 Indian time. Okay, I'll go get ready for my class. Okay, bye-bye. And please revise all of this, whatever you can quickly. Revise and see if you want to ask me some questions. Okay, bye-bye. Take care.